how Thrasylion was disguised in a bear's skin, and how he was handled. When the skin was a drying, we made merry with the flesh, and then we devised with ourselves, that one of us being more valiant than the rest both in body and courage, so that he would consent thereto, should put on the skin, and feigning that he were a bear, should be led to Demeker's house in the night, by which means we thought to be received and let in. Many were desirous to play the bear, but especially one Thrasylion of a courageous mind would take this enterprise in hand. Then we put into the bear's skin, which him finely in every point, we buckled it fast under his belly, and covered the seam with the hair, that it might not be seen. After this we made little holes through the bear's head, and through his nostrils and eyes, for Thrasylion to see out and take wind at, in such sort that he seemed a very lively and natural beast. When this was done, we went into a cave which we hired for the purpose, and he crept in after like a bear with a good courage. Thus we began our subtlety, and then we imagined thus, we feigned letters as though they came from one Nicanor which dwelt in the country of Thracia, which was of great acquaintance with this Demeker's, wherein we wrote, that he had sent him being his friend, the first fruits of his coursing and hunting. When night was come, which was a meet time for our purpose, we brought Thrasylion and our forged letters and presented them to Demeker's. When Demeker's beheld this mighty bear, and saw the liberality of Nicanor his friend, he commanded his servants to deliver unto us crowns, having great store in his coffers. Then, as the novelty of a thing doth accustom to stir men's minds to behold the same, many persons came on every side to see this bear, but Thrasylion, lest they should by curious viewing and prying perceive the truth, ran upon them to put them in fear that they durst not come nigh. The people said, Verily Demeker's is right happy, in that after the death of so many beasts, he hath gotten maugre Fortune's head, so goodly a bear. Then Demeker's commanded him with all care to be put in the park with all the other beasts, but immediately I spake unto him and said, Sir, I pray you take heed how you put a beast tired with the heat of the sun and with long travel, among others which as I hear say have divers maladies and diseases, let him rather lie in some open place in your house and I some water, where he may take air and ease himself, for do you not know that such kind of beasts do greatly delight to couch under the shadow of trees and hillocks near pleasant wells and waters? Hereby Demeker's admonished, and remembering how many he had before that perished, was contented that we should put the bear where we would. Moreover we said unto him, that we ourselves were determined to lie all night near the bear, to look unto him, and to give him meat and drink at his due hour. Then he answered, Verily, masters, you need not put yourselves to such pains, for I have men that serve for nothing but that purpose. So we took leave of him and departed, and when we were come without the gates of the town, we perceived before us a great sepulchre standing out of the highway in a privy and secret place, and thither we went and opened the mouth thereof, whereas we found the sides covered with the corruption of man, and the ashes and dust of his long buried body, wherein we got ourselves to bring our purpose to passe, and having respect to the dark time of night, according to our custom, when we thought that every one was asleep, we went with our weapons and besieged the house of Demeker's round about. Then Thrasylion was ready at hand, and leaped out of the cavern, and went to kill all such as he found asleep, but when he came to the porter, he opened the gates and let us in, and then he shewed us a large counter, wherein we saw the night before a great abundance of treasure, which when by violence we had broke open, I bid every one of my fellows take as much gold and silver as they could carry away, and bear it to the sepulchre, and still as they carried away I stood at the gate, watching diligently when they would return. The bear running about the house, to make such of the family afeard his fortune to wake and come out. For who is he that is so puissant and courageous, that at the ugly sight of so great a monster will not quail and keep his chamber especially in the night? But when we had brought this matter to so good a point, there chanced a pitiful case, for as I looked for my companions that should come from the sepulchre, behold there was a boy of the house that fortuned to look out of a window, and espied the bear running about, and he went and told all the servants of the house. Whereupon incontinently they came forth with torches, lanthorns, and other lights, that they might see all the yard over. They came with clubs, spears, naked swords, greyhounds, and mastiffs to slay the poor beast. Then I during this broil thought to run away, but because I would see Thrasylion fight with the dogs, I lay behind the gate to behold him. And although I might perceive that he was well nigh dead, yet remembered he his own faithfuls and ours, and valiantly resisted the gaping and ravenous mouths of the hellhounds. So took he in gree the pageant which willingly he took in hand himself, and with much ado tumbled at length out of the house, but when he was at liberty abroad yet could he not save himself, for all the dogs of the street joined themselves to the greyhounds and mastiffs of the house, and came upon him. Alas, what a pitiful sight it was to see our poor Thrasilian thus environed, encompassed with so many dogs that tear and rent him miserably. Then I, impatient of so great a misery, ran in among the priests of people, and aiding him with my words as much as I might, exhorted them all in this manner: O great and extreme mischance, what a precious and excellent beast have we lost! But my words did nothing prevail, for there came out a tall man with a spear in his hand, that thrust him clean through, and afterwards many that stood by drew out their swords, and so they killed him. But verily our good Captain Thrasilian, the honor of our comfort, received his death so patiently, that he would not bewray the league between us, either by crying, howling, or any other means, but being torn with dogs and wounded with weapons, did yield forth a doleful cry, more like unto a beast than a man. And taking his present fortune in good part, with courage and glory enough did finish his life, with such a terror unto the assembly, that no person was hardy until it was day, as to touch him, though he were stark dead. But at last there came a butcher more valiant than the rest, who opening the paunch of the beast, slid out and hardy and ventrous the F. In this manner we lost our Captain Thrasilian, but he left not his fame and honor. When this was done we packed up our treasure, which we committed to the sepulchre to keep, and got out of the bounds of Plataea, thus thinking with ourselves, that there was more fidelity amongst the dead than amongst the living, by reason that our praise were so surely kept in the sepulchre. So being wearied with the weight of our burthens, and well nigh tired with long travel, having lost 3 of our soldiers, we are come home with these present sheets. Thus when they had spoken in memory of their slain companions, they took cups of gold, and sung hymns unto the god Mars, and laid them down to sleep. Then the old woman gave us fresh barley without measure, insomuch that my horse fed so abundantly that he might well think he was at some banquet that day. But I that was accustomed to eat bran and flour, thought that but a sour kind of meat. Wherefore, as being a corner where lay loaves of bread for all the house, I got me thither and filled my hungry guts therewith.